Every town, every city, every place has its own vibration and personality. Hola amigos, me llamo Shilwa. Bienvenida a mi canal. Today we're going to talk about everything that you need to know before coming to Tulum. I have been living in Mexico for about 3 years, and I recently moved from a town or city called Merida to a little small town called Tulum. Now, I've been in Tulum for about 6 months as I'm making this video, and I'm going to give y'all like everything that I want, that I wish that I would have known before coming here. So, vamonos, let go. So you're coming to Tulum to party and to drink it up with your friends, but you need to understand and know the liquor laws here. Now, each state in Mexico regulates their differently. Here in this state, Quintana, and their hours are as follows: Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. On Sundays, it's 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So anywhere in between those times, make sure you get your liquor, your drinks, and all of that from the stores, because they will not serve you if it's after or before those times. Another thing to mention is that the legal age of drinking alcohol beverages here in Mexico is 18 years old. Transportation. So how do you get around in Tulum, right? There are several different means of transportation here. One will be the taxis, 2 will be the colectivos, and 3 will be to rent a collective. You can rent a bicycle, a ATV, you can rent a car, you can rent a moped, you can rent a truck. So that's how pretty much people get around. Of course, there's walking. I recommend y'all to stay in like Central, Aldazama, and La Vileta, because these areas are more developed and it's walkable. So you don't have to worry about like when the taxis everywhere or renting a bike all the time, because let's face it, all this stuff adds up. The streets. So some of the streets are not as developed as major cities in Mexico, so you might run upon or approach dirt roads and things like that. Sometimes you may see street signs or street names, and sometimes you won't. Keep in mind that Tulum is still developing, is a newly popular town, so like they're working on it, you know. If you're driving, be careful. A lot of the traffic laws, like in the major cities, are not regulated. So, for example, if it's a one-way, a lot of cars will go up the one way or go the opposite way because it's not really regulated. So be careful. I've seen so many wrecks. Please don't speed as much in the inner city. Like when you get to the paved roads, maybe short or Kukulkan or something like that, speed then, but don't speed in the cities because a lot of the street signs are not there. There's no stop signs in the like inner parts. So just be careful when you're drive. Now, coming from Merida to Tulum, I couldn't have not been prepared to deal with the amount of mosquitoes here, insects here, particularly mosquitoes. Now, there's a species called Aedes aegypti, also known as dengue. If you're pregnant, I don't recommend you to come to Tulum because there is a large dengue problem. The reason why is because it causes the Zika effect, the small head effect, in newborns if the mother is exposed to this particular species. So I don't recommend y'all to come, but if you do, here are some ways to combat that. Bring your bug spray. If you have like a fan, make sure that the Airbnb that you have has a ceiling fan because they don't like the wind. Citronella candles, rosemary, mint, peppermint, and neem oil. They don't like these things. So if you have like 100% pure organic neem oil, you can put it all over your body and your legs and your ankles. They love to attack your arms and your ankles or your feet. If you're in the forest, it's going to be 10 times worse, which makes sense because mosquitoes love damp, moist areas, and they tend to be around land and water. I've been coming back and forth to Tulum for about almost 2 years, and one thing I do know, now that I live here now, I know for sure that there will be a lot of power outages. So you have to be prepared, especially if you work online, if you have meetings online, have alternatives. Like, what are you going to do once the lights go off? Because it's not like if, it's like when. Especially during the rainy season, which I'll put the rainy season on the screen, I don't remember. There's a lot of rain. So, and then because Tulum is also still developing and there's like connections being made, new connections being made, sometimes the lights go off And the longest I've experienced here in Tulum was 23 hours the lights was off. Thank goodness it wasn't not too hot that day, but the lights will go off. So have battery packs, have solar chargers, have generators if you're planning on being here for a long time. So there's a lot of people during the tourist season, a lot of parties, a lot of noise, more people, more noise, things like that. And a lot of these apartments or condos, they're not built to sustain a person for long term. So you're gonna hear noises, especially if you're gonna stay for a long time and you plan on like living in an apartment or a condo. You're gonna hear noise. The walls are thin in that sense, okay? So just be mindful of like where you live at if you're gonna be here for a long time. Check the reviews. Check Google reviews, not just Airbnb reviews or booking.com reviews. Check all the reviews so that you can find a place that's suitable for you. If you have a noise sensitivity, there are places outside like the main parts of Tulum. If you just look for them, that can like give you the same beauty and the same aesthetic that Tulum has. The locals may not like you. You're a foreigner, and Tulum is a new developing, beautiful town, and it's all new. The tourist industry here is new. So just try to be nice, smile, be respectful, tip people, and just stay out of people's way because they may not like you here because you're foreign. And me personally, nobody ever really speaks Spanish here. And I am learning Spanish, and so I feel like Tulum is just like not one of those places that you want to come to kind of like really indulge yourself into the Mexican culture, because it is a tourist town. It's not really what I would say is a representation of what Mexico truly is. And part of that is that it's a money hungry culture out here. Like everybody's like trying to get it. So, and with that being said, here comes the safety issue. There was a girl, I'll leave the post right on the side so that you guys can read it. Literally this happened to her in broad daylight. Someone snatched her purse off the avenue, Tulum Avenue. And I recommend y'all to pay attention to your surroundings when you're in big busy areas like that, and to wear, if you're a woman especially traveling by yourself, wear a fanny pack instead of like a long purse or whatever when you're going out to restaurants or just like really busy areas like the avenue. Really sucked that happened to that lady. Yeah, that really sucked. I personally have not experienced those types of things happening to me. Where somebody just like took my purse, whatever like that. No, I have not experienced that. I typically wear I don't really dress up when I go on the avenue or when I'm making groceries or shopping. Now, if you're planning on going to the hotel zone where most of the beach clubs are or visiting the beach, you might want to carpool because the taxis tend to be a little bit more pricier than if you're traveling inside of Tulum. I think about $30 USD. They'll charge you just like one way and back, $30 each way. It's better to carpool and y'all split the fare. If y'all want more tips on how to save money and different resources if you're going to be living in Tulum, I have created this Tulum guide. I've been writing for at least 2 years as far as my duration of going in and out of Tulum, and that information will be in the description box down below. For the most part in Tulum, the weather is very hot and humid. If you are coming during the tourist season, which is November to March, I believe, it tends to be a little cooler and the sun is more durable, and you'll be comfortable. So what to wear? If you're going to be walking a lot, which if you're in Tulum, you most likely will be walking, tennis shoes. Have like those little, I don't know what they call those little sandals that have like the platforms like tennis shoes. Those are the type of things that you want to wear, natural materials, because it is hot here and you may not be used to it. I'm used to the heat, but you may not be used to the heat like that. And sunglasses and little mini fans and accordion fans and spray bottles and water. You need those types of things here because it's very hot and humid. Now, speaking of the hotel zone, a lot of the beach clubs will require you to pay a minimum, meaning that you have to spend between $60 or $30. Each beach club is different. And usually you would take this money, you would spend it on the food, okay, or drinks that you order. They require you to spend a certain amount at the beach club to sit in their club or to have beach access. Now, that's not the only way to access the beach. There is a public beach. You can literally go on Google and type in free public beach in Tulum, and it will guide you to where that area is. Now, there's pros and cons to choosing to reside at a beach club and to be at the public beach. Now, if you want privacy, then you might want to go to a beach club. If you don't really care, you just want to be around the water, you want to probably just go and do the public beach. No big deal. One thing I want to know that's different about Tulum is that there is a lot of vegan and vegetarian options here. Like, I'm coming from Merida to Tulum, where people in Merida mostly eat pork. And here, to see that there's so many vegan and vegetarian options, it's beautiful. So if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, this is definitely like your ideal vacation spot in Mexico, because there's so many restaurants, so many places that cater to your diet, even like food vendors. It's amazing. Tulum is so special. It's beautiful here. The vibration. I can't explain it. I can't really explain it. But if you are a creator, a content creator, you're starting a business, this is the place to be for inspiration. You will get a creator's high here. You will get them. You will definitely be charged by the high energy that's here. And I'll talk about the lows here too in Tulum, but that's going to be in another video, which reminds me that I have to remind y'all to please subscribe to this channel and like this video. As far as the population of people who live in Tulum or just typically be in Tulum are as follows. Of course, there's the locals, like the Mexicans that are local and the ones that are from here, and then there's like the national Mexicans, the ones that are from different parts of Mexico. And then there is a large population of Argentinians here that are working and living here. And then of course there are other people like me and other people, a lot of Americans that come here as well. And yeah, that's pretty much the population of like this town. If you're a beach girly like me, the season for the seagrass, the seaweed, they call it seaweed or something else, but it's a seaweed that's on the beaches, which prevents you from swimming. Here, you might want to not go to Tulum. Other things to keep in mind is that if you're renting out an Airbnb or even an apartment or condo, you might want to keep in mind that your landlord or the person who owns the property owner may not live there, or the Airbnb host may not live in Tulum. Most likely they hire property managers and realtors to run their property, and they hire the maids to clean it up. They don't even live here. So if you have difficulties regarding that, or it's like staying long term, and if you're uncomfortable with that, you might want to consider that before you actually move here. So most people speak English here, which is, I particularly don't like it because I'm trying to learn Spanish, but I literally just met a man today. He speaks 3 languages, Spanish, English, and Russian. Crazy. If you're gonna be riding in the taxis, always ask the price before you hop in the taxi, and that way it'll prevent you from being overcharged. So Tulum is one of those places where people come and go all the time. So like trying to like find friends and build community here. Obviously this information is for people that's planning on being here long term. That may be difficult. So one way that you can connect with people is Facebook groups, as well as like different WhatsApp groups. So I can give you guys an invitation to some of the groups. I'll leave the links down in the description box. All you have to do is download the WhatsApp application, and then click on the link, and then that should take you to what those groups. Or I could just like give you guys the group name and then see if you can find it from there. In these groups there's a lot of resources, and also like if you've been traveling a long time back and forth to Tulum and you have specific restaurants or businesses that you just love to visit, that most likely they may not be here again the next time you visit. Things move pretty quickly around here, and businesses, they don't tend to stand as long as, you would like them to, due to different reasons. And like I said, you want to get the guidebook to, especially if you're planning on living here for at least 6 months or longer, what to expect, things that I can't really say on this platform that I could say in the book. Tulum is definitely a place that will probably make you go off budget if you're not careful. So that's why I created this travel guide. For that particular guide, it will be in the description box down below. So I forgot to mention to y'all, one of the most important things about Tulum is that if you have a cell phone and you're in certain areas of Tulum, your cell phone signal may not even exist. Like for me, I live in region 16, no 15 actually, region 15. And it's kind of far out from La Vileta, maybe like 20 minutes by foot from La Vileta. And it's north of the beach. So it's like right around that area. So a lot of jungle, not too many apartment complexes or houses or people. And I actually prefer that. So if you're crazy like me and you're thinking about living or being in region 15 or even 16, yeah, your cell phone signal will not work. And how did I survive? I survived because we had internet. So when the internet goes out, that means I have no means to communicate with the outer world. But don't worry, it's not that bad as it sounds. Like Tulum is a very small town, and there's gonna be people all around, even though it may not look like it. Like where I lived, it was a large apartment complex, and there was another apartment complex, and there's another one over there, and there was like a whole bunch of trees around, and it looks like it may look like that you're so deserted and that there's no one around, but they also have like houses and like duplexes and things like that, like around. But even though people didn't live there, people went around, it was not as bad as it sounds. So I was okay. I was fine, because it's like you gotta pick your poison. What do you like? I like seclusion. I like privacy. I don't like to be around too many people. So yeah, that was my poison I picked, and I don't regret moving out there because it was just so peaceful. I know some areas can get more tourists than other areas, and more areas can get like a little bit noisier. Even though I feel like Tulum just a little bit noisy sometimes when it's like, because people come in and out all the time. People always traveling, and people always tourists are always coming and always going. And when they go and they come and they play music and they just be free, in Tulum. But Tulum could be very noisy. I don't know if I mentioned that. But like in region 15, like literally, it was better because it was not as many people. The less people, less noise. You don't have a cell phone signal. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. And that is pretty much it for this video, y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching. If you enjoy my content, if you enjoyed this video, consider liking, consider subscribing, consider subscribing to the channel and becoming part of our amigos, the family here. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Hasta luego.